Welcome, Climate viewers, to another Sunday Fun Day chat with myself, Jim Lee, Climate Viewer News. Been a long week for me. I don't know how many of you are parents, but when you have a 6-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old daughter, and you stay up all summer long to the wee hours of the morning, and then they go back to school this past Monday, getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning is a hell of a shock to the system. So we survived the first week of school. I managed to pull off 2 podcast interviews, and it's been a transformative week to say the least. But today is that special day where you get to call in and ask me anything. And I always look forward to this because I never know what to expect. Pretty much nothing's off limits. Ooh, hold on one second. Hello, Mrs. I'm not going to say your name because I'm live on the air. How are you doing? I'm live on YouTube right now doing my call-in show, and we missed our meeting earlier for me to fix and secure your computer. So you can either tune into the show. It's live on YouTube right now on my ClimateViewer channel, and if you're cool with it, I'm going to call you after the show, and we'll do what we were talking about doing to your computer and securing it and getting the VPN and all the things. Well, you'll know when the show's over with. Just give me a call when you're ready. If you use the 450, yeah, I'll call you back. All right. Awesome. I'll see you then. All right. Bye. Business is business, people. For those who don't know, I've been a hacker / security guy most of my life, and on my side gig is basically, finding activists, typically, other people who work on YouTube, who are in the activist community, who are constantly getting their streams hacked, and I secure their computers. And by secure, I mean go through it and tighten all the gears and the wheels and make sure that everything's up to date, no vulnerabilities. I tell people quite often, this show is sponsored by EXPRESSVPN. You can actually use my code expressvpn.com/climateviewer, expressvpn.com/climateviewer, and get your own virtual private network, which basically not only makes it to where your internet service provider cannot spy on you on behalf of the government, but whenever you're going to websites like Facebook or Twitter or any of these other websites on the internet, you can actually set up multiple accounts on Facebook and have it set up to where even Facebook does not know it's you. And that's what I'm doing specifically for this individual, because they've been in Facebook jail like 25 times. But regardless, let's get into some of the happenings of the week. I'll kind of refresh it for you guys. So I was on Forbidden Knowledge News recently, and we talked about, my usual subjects, weather warfare, geoengineering and HARP, and the planet poisoners. Great interview there. Links are already in the description. You can check that out. And I was on with Lee General Maddox from Real Australia News, and that's at Real Australia, realnewsaustralia.podbean.com. It's also on TOTT News. Absolutely epic interview there. In the episode, we covered the known weather mod operations carried out here in Australia, and with somewhat devastating effects. Globally, the plan have been going on for years. China's investing another $168 million to control the weather. how far back does weather control? 2000s, 1900s, try the 1840s. Is weather modification efficacy provable? If not, then why are they doing it? Water scarcity in the United States, fracking, how it's all related, weather warfare, and the resource they're all after is the new gold, water, or the water wars, the blue gold rush. And then they picked my brain on chemtrails, and we had a real teaser. Apparently, I'm going back on the show very soon, and we're going to do a much lengthier interview, which is going to be pretty freaking epic because I had a really good time with them. Lot of laughter during that podcast. It was very similar to when I was on the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli. We were cutting full the entire time, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And one of the things that did come up, obviously, was my solution, the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. And if you don't know about this, this is my solution to weather warfare. So, been trying to dumb down. Yeah, the phones are too smart, right? Man, I hate anything with the word smart in it, and I think you should too. Now, of course, the phone lines are open, so you're welcome to call in and interrupt me at any time. I do have some things prepared I'm going to go through, but feel free to interrupt at any point. The number is 1-803-450-4305. I will once again drop that in chat. Like show. And, feel free to interrupt me anytime you like. So the other thing, we talked about the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. If you haven't ever been to the website, and just so you know, I like all my things black. I like all my screens, my everything darkened out. So I'm actually running the Brave browser in dark mode. So if things start to look a little different on here than what you see on your screen, that's why. Hey, it's easier on the eyes. And especially when you spend a lot of time, there's a lot of blue light coming out of monitors. White backgrounds make for blue light, make for bad iris, and retinas. Blue light is poison. Just tip for the day. But the Environmental Modification Accountability Act is something I've been working on a long time, an act to end atmospheric experimentation without notification. You can read all about it here. It is a work in progress. Suggestions are required. So if you want to hit me up with some suggestions, please go over to connect.climateviewer.com. At the bottom of the page is my email address, jim@climateviewer.com. I'm always checking that. I rarely check my my social media because it's overwhelming every single time. But you can get in on that there. And in addition, you can support me via Patreon, PayPal, which is honestly is needed now more than ever. To be frank with you, tomorrow I'm applying for several jobs because many of you are going through the same thing that I am. The prices are through the roof. It's almost unsustainable. So as a result, since the Brandon administration has taken over, and since the prices have gone through the roof, donations have literally dried up like the Lake Mead. And that's just and it's understandable. This my entire operation for 14 years has been give all the information away for free. Make it Creative Commons so there's no licensing issues. I'm never going to copyright strike somebody. I'm never going to censor comments. Unless you're trying to threaten to hurt somebody, violence is never acceptable. Attack ideas, not people. So everything I've done is for free and in the hopes that people will say thank you with donations. Those really have dried up considerably. And as a result, my only recourse is to get a job as soon as possible, which means obviously less time with the kids, less time with the family, less time that I'll be able to devote to this. But hopefully, that'll pick back up sometime in the near future. But more than ever, if you can support my work, you could do that on connect.climateviewer.com. And as you can see on the screen, it's also on climateviewer.com. Right at the top of the page, you can support me with a monthly donation on Patreon, or you can give a one-time donation through PayPal. Heads up, if you're going to super chat, if you did not know this, super chat, 20% of your donations from super chat go to Google. Whereas if you give it through PayPal, it's 2%. So just a thought, food for thought. I got a question in the pregame lobby, and they were asking, is there graphene in the chemtrails? And this is something I've been hanging on to for quite a while. And I meant to do more research on it, get more references, but I'll go ahead and throw this one out at you. Application of graphene oxide in Jet A1 in air to enhance combustion process. So people ask, is there graphene in the chemtrails, the contrails, the plane farts, hashtag Cirrus clouds matter. Now, I cannot say definitively that this has been put into practice, that it is currently coming out of planes, but it's pretty clear here that they are studying putting graphene oxide in Jet A1. If you don't know, Jet A1 is the fuel that's in like 95% of the commercial and even military flights that are going on today. And of course, they say that the studies aim to investigate the feasibility and application of graphene oxide nanosheets in Jet A1 to enhance its combustion performance in the air, such as ignition delay and deflagration, the flame speed and shock induced reaction flow. And then they go into the details, but basically they say there's a great improvement for 17.9% of Jet A1 in air. The addition of graphene oxide at 2 milligrams per milliliter increases the initial linear burning velocity from 4.52 meters per second to 5.15 meters per second. This is the same thing as the guys that have the drag racing cars, street cars that are like, pocket rockets, rice burners, whatever you want to call them, where they put these, fuel additives in that up the octane of the vehicle. So the same is true with the airline industry. They're going to try to put any kind of additive in that jet fuel that's going to make it, cheaper for them to fly, more efficient for them to fly. Rarely do you see these kinds of studies on, here's something we could put in the jet fuel that we can get a greater impact. It's going to burn. I keep getting this Dane Wigington. Bob, the Dane question comes up almost every single stream. I'm sure chat's probably already handled that answer. Dane Wigington has zero evidence of graphene. If you can show somebody, because YouTube's not going to allow you to post an actual link in chat. So somebody tell me the name of the article where Dane Wigington has proof that graphene is in the chemtrails, in the geoengineering. I will bring it up right now, read it on air, and then I will debunk the F out of it. Because that's not a thing. It's not proved. There's no way. I could be wrong, but we'll do it together. But after the last 10 years of knowing the stuff that comes from Dane, I call bullshit before I even read it, but we'll read it because, hey, full transparency. The difference between me and Dane is I'm not scared of showing what it's called, Graphene Skies. It's a video. So, there's the problem. Dane is notorious for copyright striking anybody that shows his stuff. Has that ever stopped me before? I say, come bring it on, because reaction videos are a thing. Fair use is a thing, and I'm willing to risk it for the biscuit. Let me go ahead and I'll bring that up real quick and see if I can find it. Uno momento, por favore. Graphene Skies. Okay. This better not be real long, because he's usually pretty damn long-winded. So you got the title right? Did he spell it right? YouTube is not a search engine, by the way. Let's try this. Finding things on YouTube is almost impossible these days. Let's see if we can find his channel and then maybe find it that way. There's the dumbing. That's not what we're looking for. Not seeing it on his channel either. Am I missing something here, chat? Because I'm looking. Is it a recent video? Because all I'm seeing is his usual fear porn podcast. Not seeing that. This might have been a video that somebody retitled and put on a different channel. Dana's like listening to Alex Jones. I can agree with that. Yeah, they're putting graphene in the chemtrails and it's making all the frogs gay, and it makes me mad. Except he tries to be as monotone as a freaking robot, but regardless. No, not seeing that. So I don't see nothing either. Hey, if you got it, you could text me the link at freaking right on the screen. If you can find a link to this thing, text me at that number right now, and I will literally bring it up on the screen. No fear, no worries about copyright or any of that stuff. Regardless, back to that graphene thing. So we'll move that over here and back to this. Another example is aerospace applications of graphene nanoparticles. This is 2019. The other paper was 2018. And when you do a quick search for fuel, you'll see reduced fuel consumption, blah, blah, blah. But, they go down a little here into it, a little more detail here, where you actually get the meat and potatoes of the article. And they say graphene can be used in the fuel system of aircrafts. Graphene oxide membranes have selectivity for water from other liquids, i.e. as from oils, and have been used to remove the water from fuel tanks. Graphene sensors have been deployed for fuel level sensing with the advantage of corrosion-free system. Graphene can be used in heat management systems. Extremely high thermal conductivity of graphene makes it ideal material for heat spreading. And the list goes on. So there's a lot of talk on using graphene in airplanes, inside the fuel, all of that stuff. Where's all this Trump hate coming from in chat? What the hell is going on today? Call me about it. I want to talk to a Trump hater too. That'd be great. Yeah, let's try that again. We'll go back to the search. And I'll put it in quotes, and it still probably won't matter. And we'll go and search elsewhere. Okay, so it's on his website. July 29, 2021. And here's a video. Let's see. Oh, good. It's only 5 minutes long. Y'all ready to do this? Okay. You made me do it. Look what you made me do. Look what you just wait. All right. Let's go. Reaction time, people. Why is it playing out of there? Let me change my sound settings. This should be coming out of this so they can hear it. All right.
Operations aren't just an insane and dangerous proposal. They're an ongoing lethal reality. The global controllers can and are spraying whatever they want into our skies. There's virtually no oversight, regulation, or enforcement to stop them.
All right, first off, that's what's called an aerodynamic contrail. That's not being sprayed from anything. There are examples of this back to World War II, before World War II, with propeller planes. The aerodynamic contrail. It doesn't even come from the jet engines. It certainly is not being pumped out of pipes or anything. I'm going to back up and just deal with the fear porn terminology.
Global climate engineering operations aren't just an insane and dangerous proposal. They're an ongoing lethal reality.
Okay, so geoengineering proposals are not just a reality. They're dangerous and life-threatening. You scared yet? Are you scared yet? Shit, I'm shitting my pants right now. Let's
go.
Global
controllers can and are spraying whatever they want into our skies. There's virtually no...
The global controllers are spraying whatever they want. Got any names or addresses, Dane? I mean, hell, with all your resources, you should be able to come up with some names of who are doing this. I actually have. Dr. Arnold J. Barnes, Phillips Lab, U.S. Air Force, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Hanscom Air Force Base, China Lake, California Air Force Base, the FAA, the ICAO, who's putting what chemicals in, where, and why, clouds by day, none by night, military, I want to make clouds to block out spy satellites in space and or make it darker at nighttime by blocking out moonlight so that our night vision goggles are more effective than our opponents. This is straight from military FOIAs, Freedom of Information Act requests. Names, addresses, people, not just the global controllers. Please continue with this fear porn. Oh my God. Good Lord. The difference between Dane Wigington and me is this. I am not afraid to show you anything that he has or talk about it. Hell, he may convince me during this 5-minute video that there is some truth to what he's got to say. The style is disgusting. It's just disgusting. It is catering to the fear porn crowd. And he literally is just hopping on a bandwagon by putting Graphene skies in the title because he has no proof. Wait for it.
Oversight, regulation, or enforcement to stop them.
There is no oversight regulation to stop them. I agree with that.
Only elaborate and well.
That's why I proposed the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. Moving along.
Well-funded cover-up efforts by the sold-out so-called climate science community and the criminal corp.
I do agree that the climate science community is sold out. They are paid to the highest bidder. Whoever's going to fund their research, they'll come back with the results that they were told to. Let's go.
Corporate media. In addition to highly toxic climate engineering elements like aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, and polymer fibers, which
Okay. And polymer fibers? Where's that picture? Why don't I have that picture up here? I'm going to bring that picture up here. Uno momento. It's in my live stream folder under themes with, is it images and the infographics? And then this should already be on my stream. I should have a button for this at this point. But yeah, all of these metals are in jet fuel. There you go. See, I make pretty graphics and I back it up with science and I have references for where all of this comes from as opposed to just making speculations and all of that sort of thing. Sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium, strontium, barium, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zirconium, niobium, molybdenum, aluminum, silicon, tin, lead, sulfur, selenium, all found in jet exhaust from jet fuel. In every flight on the planet. I have military references for this. Done at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base with a plane sitting on a tarmac with the little sniffer behind it. I have in-flight detection of all of these. And I have multiple peer-reviewed scientific journals all confirming that all of these metals are embedded in carbon black dust or soot that comes out of the back of jet engines that all is in the jet fuel to begin with. That being said, polymers, bro. Nobody's ever found polymers in jet exhaust, and furthermore, the polymers would have to be able to withstand 2,000 plus degrees worth of burning. How many plastics do you know do that? Aside from like chaff, and even then, chaff is a whole nother. Anyway, we could be here an hour just me going through this 5-minute video because I have too many thoughts.
Lab tests from all over the world prove are raining down through our breathable air column.
Okay. So there are lab tests, except the labs were outside. Debatable. And he immediately goes to toxicity of graphene, family, nanoparticles, a general review of the origins and mechanisms. We know this. We know that graphene is toxic. What's this got to do with planes?
The extremely toxic and controversial element, graphene. Is graphene also being dispersed into our skies as part of the ongoing...
Wait a minute. I'm seeing some familiar names here. Am I? Because, I mean, maybe I'm crazy. Well, I mean, they're all Chinese names. Let's do a side-by-side real quick. Where did I see it? Did I see it? Or am I just... No, they're just Chinese names. Bending, no. All the way to the top of this one. No, those are Arabic names. This is Abu Dhabi. Could have swore. Wasn't. Okay, moving along. Back to the story. Bang. And boom.
Going global climate engineering operations. An examination of available science study is alarming.
Differential cytotoxic effects of graphene and graphene oxide on skin keratinocytes. Okay. Nails. Anyway. And keratin deposits in the skin. He probably doesn't understand any of these fucking words. Otherwise, he would explain it in the video. But yeah, are there studies on the detrimental effects to humans of graphene? Yes, of course there is. But that, anyway, let him finish.
Volumes of available data and countless film footage captures confirm that covert climate intervention operations have been ongoing for over 75 years.
Bullshit. Bullshit. There are none. He makes these... This is my main problem with Dane Wigington. Say it again, Dane.
Volumes of available data and countless film footage captures confirm that covert climate intervention operations.
Volumes of data and hours of video confirm that covert climate operations, just because you see clouds in the sky, does not prove that it's a covert climate operation. Volumes of information. Why are you a jerk? Me? Steven? Really? Call me about it. Number's right there. Anybody who disagrees with me, doesn't like what I'm up to right now, you're welcome to call in. It takes guts to call in. That's the thing. I don't bite. It's open discussion. Either people will call in or I'll just rant, because now you've given me a target, and you know what? That's what we're going to do. Can you find that on my website? Yes. Volumes of information already available about secret government programs. Oh yeah, that's called weathermodificationhistory.com, where you can find more volumes of information. In fact, Storm Fury 101, who's in chat right now, is my boy Dominic Marama right here. And if anybody's put together volumes of information, it's Storm Fury 101 in chat right now. And he's got over 800 newspaper articles dating back to the first one here, 1880. 1880. Producing Rain, 1891. And I mean, you can't get much crazier than this stuff, okay? Producing Rain with X-rays, 1919. This is what you call evidence. This is what you call evidence gathering. Going to the timeline. If you go to the weathermodificationhistory.com timeline, you can click on show tags and then go to weather warfare, and you can see real evidence of secret government programs to do weather warfare, including those Freedom of Information Act requests that I was talking about. FOIA reveals U.S. Air Force paper Counter Force Weather Control from Spacecast 2020. FOIA reveals U.S. Air Force Geophysics Directorate weather modification intentions. FOIA reveals U.S. Navy weather modification program still active at China Lake. These are all in 1994. And then in 1997, Test Technology Symposium, 97, weather modification, Dr. Arnold J. Barnes, where he said this: weather modification using carbon black dust. And why is this important, Jim? Because he said this: increase Cirrus cloud cover. That is the U.S. Air Force, Hanscom, Phillips Laboratory. Increase Cirrus cloud cover. Deny visual satellite or high altitude reconnaissance. Blocks satellites in space from spying on Area 51 or anything we're doing in a battlefield, or decrease light level for nighttime operations. We have a caller. Hey, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Washington State. My name's Dave.
Hey, Dave. What's going on, man?
Just watching the show. Anyways, I just want to get into the gist of what's really going on that I see and that I've researched. You know, I can look at my state's name, Washington. I can add the words into the search weather modification laws, and, you know, you see the RCW law pull up. You know, you can literally see what it's talking about, the laws, and that they openly admit that they use silver iodide. I believe I'm saying it right, I think.
That's correct.
And, you know, when you start looking at the material safety data sheet and looking at it and seeing that it's toxic to aquatic life,
yes,
and they really have no research beyond that about the carcinogen effect on it, and yet they're openly doing this to our environment that they admit to with their own laws, And there are so many issues like Alzheimer's and dementia. We got all these issues going on, people getting cancers and all this, but yet we're constantly admitting we're doing this, and it continues, and no one's questioning it, and we're not refunding, or we're not funding any studies or research. And that's the problem I think a lot of people are having, is like, well, why don't we look into these known carcinogens that are just being dumped into the environment for ski slopes and, you know, all that type of stuff. And then some of it even drifts from state to state when they do it in a certain area. And then it will go to another state and cause, you know, a weather cataclysmic event. And this is more of it needs to be exposed. And so, I mean, I'm watching you talk about Dane and all that. And, you know, everybody has their opinion about who their favorite geoengineering guy is and all that. But I think it's important that everyone's voice is in this fight at this point, you know.
I totally agree with you. And specifically in your state, and I dropped the link in chat for you, but the simple way to get to it is you go to the front page of weathermodificationhistory.com, and there's a section that says people, patents, programs, and laws. And in Washington State is Title 43, Chapter 43.37, Weather Modification, is the legislative link for the weather modification laws in Washington State. And there's a really creepy exemption in your state in particular that I have not found anywhere else in the United States. Want to know what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
The department, to the extent it deems practical, shall provide by regulation for exempting from license, permit, and liability requirements. Liability requirements being a hell of a word to put in there. Exemption from liability for weather control. 1, research and development and experiments by state and federal agencies, institutions of higher learning, and bona fide nonprofit research organizations. Is that broad enough for you? That state, federal agencies, colleges, and nonprofits can modify the weather in Washington State, and they are exempt from having to get a license, a permit, and exempt from liability, meaning you cannot sue them for damages.
Oh yeah, and that's what it all boils down to. It's the anger that would come from the society if people realize the correlation of all of this spraying or whatever the heck is in those plane farts, those lines in the skies, because I've watched them quite a bit, you know, where I live. And I live in Washington. I live close to McCord Air Force Base. I've been on the tarmac, you know, before all the high security was implemented. And so I've been right in there and in the buildings and all that stuff because, you know, my job has taken me many places. But I just have witnessed it with my own eyes. I watched them spray over my area, and I've seen the lines actually almost fall like dust. I mean, you can literally see that it's like there's almost heavy particulates in it at some times where they fall. And you'll see that, and then they'll spread out even more. And it's just, oh man, it just drives me nuts that this is going on. And there are so many deniers to the fact that people hold this as the truth, that you're a tinfoil hatter. That if you mention this stuff, and you know, and we really just all need to start looking into it and saying something about it, because we don't consent. I don't consent to it.
I fully agree with you, but see, here's the problem, and I understand your point about, you know, who's your favorite geoengineering guy. You know, that's not why I'm even doing this. The question comes up in chat. You know, I just want to clarify. The question comes up in chat almost every day. Every chat, every live stream I do, I usually try to ignore it, you know, but every so often you just can't help but respond to it.
I'm glad he took on the topic.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I tell people, you know, don't trust me. I'm just a guy from Sumter, South Carolina. What I would prefer is that you do go to Dane's website, go to geoengineeringwatch.org, subscribe to his YouTube channel. I will suggest that you do that. And I will say, watch all of his videos, Read everything he's got, because guess what? He may come across something I have not. The problem that I have with Dane is that the opposite is not true. He will censor anybody who's on this topic. If you go to his website, his YouTube, his Facebook, anything he controls, and I'll put this bet to you. If you go there and you type in, "Hey Dane, have you ever checked out weathermodificationhistory.com, climateviewer.com, or climateviewer.org?" Not only will your message be deleted, he will ban you from his website permanently.
Yeah, see, we don't need that. And that's what I don't like about it. It's our whole society right now. It's like a big pissing match. Who's better than the next guy? And why
I
you should
fully
be
agree with you.
this
But
guy.
this isn't even an ego thing.
Us.
This isn't even an ego thing anymore. Like,
Right.
I started the show saying, look, tomorrow I'm going to get a job because I've been doing this 14 years. My dream has been fulfilled. My dream was never to become the most popular. My dream was never to become, wildly successful and rich from this. My dream was to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that weather modification and weather warfare is a real thing, that the pollution coming from planes, in addition to the possibility of geoengineering programs occurring, I have proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. In fact, I have scientific evidence straight from Chuck Long at NOAA's CRES Earth Systems Research Lab, who said the reason why the sun is white and not yellow like it used to be is because airplanes are creating a haze of ice that is whitening the sky, which changes the diffuse light. So I'm, unlike Dane, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to relay the information that I've learned over the past 14 years in the most cohesive and understandable way to the lowest common denominator, not to insult anybody's intelligence, but at the same time, I have made a choice. And Alana Freeland, if anybody ever wants to ask her, you can ask her. We talked on the phone for 3 years straight, regularly. And I had this ongoing debate in my head. And I said, you know what? I am no longer going to give a damn what the public thinks anymore. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try to get everybody on the same page. I tried this multiple times.
Impossible.
It always fails. So, I mean, honestly, I tried a True Summit where I got like Dutch Sense and Suspicious Observer and all these guys to show up to this same live stream so we could try to bring the community together. It literally ripped a hole in the community. It was one of the worst things that ever occurred. And then, anyway, so
yeah, it's a nasty thing.
So I think that it's incumbent to focus on the policy makers, to inform the people who have the ability to make the changes necessary that we require.
That's exactly right. It's and that's another thing that and I know Dane mentions this, and I've been seeing this in the comment section. Things are developing, like with Alzheimer's research, cancer research, and one of the big pet peeves I have is everything starts with simple things in life, like food, water, and air. Right. So if they take our water, public water supply, and they put fluoride, if you go to your city hall and you say, "Can I have pictures of the fluoride bags that you put in our water supply?" And then they'll take pictures of them, and it's just toxic to aquatic life right there, and it's got skull and bones on it, and then people are like, "Well, but it's only a little bit." It's like, would you just take a little bit of
it's good for your teeth, man.
I know, and that's the whole thing. And I'm sick of everybody asking, hey, help us find the cause, and I see all these little kids that got cancer and all this crazy stuff that's happening to people, and they want you to feel bad for the kid in the wheelchair. Well, I'm feeling bad for the people that aren't asking the right questions. Why are you putting a known mutagenic product in our water supply each and every day, and there's no research backing it except from the ADA that claims that it's good? It all starts with the simplest things, and our water is one of the most simplest things. And right now we have forever chemicals that are in our water across the globe. It's like mainstream media news, and the climate people who have been warning everybody for decades were like, "Here, we told you so."
There's way worse things, Dave. There's way worse things than fluoride in your city's water supply. I mean, from Teflon to freaking Xanax.
And then beyond that, even radioactive substances. I've seen where there used to be videos. Videos used to be available everywhere. You could just do a research, and boom, boom, you get all of this good information. Now it's hard to find. You know, with the last 3 years,
Google has literally turned their search engine. If you do a search on YouTube, it is no longer actually a search. It is a curated list, all run by an artificial intelligence. I can literally put the title of a video I made and not find it. Then I can put it in quotations and sometimes not find it. So that I totally agree with you on that. But I want to make clear something that you were talking about earlier. You mentioned silver iodide. And this is a common misconception. Up on the screen, I already dropped it in chat as well for you. This is from a blog our website called 99percentinvisible.org episode/make it rain. And the point I'm trying to make here is that with most weather modification activities, whether they be through chemical processes like using silver iodide, lead iodide, urea, dry ice, which is basically CO2, in all of these cases, the chemicals they are dumping are completely invisible to the naked eye. So you combine that with, say, cloud ionization. I'll bring this up on the screen. If you look at the technologies involved in weather modification, from ionospheric heaters to sounding rockets, they're kind of visible. People see, the chemtrails from space, whether they be trimethyl aluminum, lithium, barium, strontium. Those are visible in certain conditions, in certain places, but most people don't know it even happens. Lasers, mostly invisible. They can steer lightning bolts. They can make ionization in clouds. They can make it rain. Cloud ionizers, they use electricity to just put negatively charged ions in the sky to attract the aerosols that are already there to water vapor, completely invisible. So like 90% of weather control technologies are invisible.
Right.
Now, riddle me this. Why is it that the clouds coming out of planes is what 90% of people are bitching about, and they don't know about any of the weather control? And I'll take it a step further. Why does Dane Wigington specifically never fucking mention cloud seeding? Can you explain that to me? I called Dane Wigington. This is a side story. Since you brought it up, I just want to throw this out there. I called Dane Wigington up. I said, dude, you live in Mount Shasta. Did you know that the Sacramento Municipal Utility District is paying Weather Modification Incorporated $996,000 to fill the Oroville Dam, and there is literally weather control going on in your area, which when you pay your water bill to the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, you are paying for weather control. So if you want to stop weather control, Dane, tell your audience to go down to the Sacramento Municipal Utility District and demand that they halt all cloud seeding operations. This was when me and Dane could actually talk on the phone. Dane said, well, I don't really see how that changes, what I'm actually talking about here. I gave him a map of all of the weather modification projects going on in California. He does not want anything to do with that topic. He will not bring it up. That is a red flag for me. He'd rather scare the shit out of people by talking about graphene and polymers and secret government programs, the names, addresses, and action you can take today to end weather modification we know about and is causing the drought in California? I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
Well, you just now brought that to my attention about that process, and people are paying for apparent weather modification. I mean, I would have to look into it before I'd even mention anything about it. But what I'm saying is I don't know. I think you might be right.
It's hella shady to me, and I'm gonna do something I did not plan to do, and I'm gonna show something directly from my hard drive that I've been keeping on the back burner because I'm gonna be doing this in the near future. But I basically have all of the weather modification reports. Let me find this real quick. Let me find this off of here because I'm about to go into a folder I don't want everybody on the internet to look at. But basically, I have 2,700 patents for weather modification, and every single government report on weather modification that has happened. Here it is, weather modification projects. I'm just going to drag this over and unzip it real quick. Boom, 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 boom. And what you can actually look at on these is this is every government report on weather modification. Like you were talking about, Alta Snow and Snowbird, Utah, those are ski resorts. And if I want to look at it and see exactly who did what, where, when, and why, I can bring this up. And what you'll see is this is the actual government report. Okay. Increase snowpack for ski areas. Now, there's going to be obviously a little delay if you're still watching the stream.
I'm here. I'm looking at it. You got your PDF up. I see it.
Okay, so you can see it. Affiliation. It says the name. Ano Ringa. What a hell of a name. Anyway, State. Affiliation. Alta Ski Lifts Company. Okay. Affiliation. Right. And then it says that's sponsored. That's who paid for the weather modification. On the other side is the operator, Don Griffith from North American Weather Consultants. NOC,
right, I see that.
NAWC, North American Weather Consultants, is the company that is doing the weather modification for the ski resort. And it tells you when it occurred. It says right here, date first actual weather modification activity to be undertaken. This is a 2010 report. This is every year, though. I just picked one at random. Size of area, 10 square miles. And it's specifically for that. 4 ground-based silver iodide generators will be used for this program. Each generator emits 12 grams per hour of silver iodide. Operational decisions will be made by North American Weather Consultants office in Sandy, Utah. And it goes on to show all that. And then what they have to do is, this is, I believe, the initial. This is probably the initial report. So first they file an initial report, and then when they do the follow-up, and there are so many here. Let's see this. 2010. Come on, be in order. They would be.
You
all
still
over.
there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you?
All right. Oh, okay.
But if you look at let's see if I can find one that's these are all initials. For some reason, they've all got, because of the way they've named these are all initial filings, so I can't show you an interim and final report for some reason. I'd have to dig through them all. But the point being, you can literally go through all of these, which I downloaded them. I hijacked them directly from NOAA's FTP server. And all of these are available online if you want to dig through them. And I'll actually find the link for that real quick. NOAA.
You know what baffles me the most, though, is that we find this information, you find this information, and I'm really impressed. Wait, you there?
Yeah, it's right here. I'm dropping you the link in chat right now. So this is actually where all the weather modification project reports come from, and you can see them on the screen right now.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
What's really I find exciting is it's simple to find all this information, and you have all of this information stored. Okay, then we have the other.
I back it up because I don't trust the internet.
Yeah, and we shouldn't at all anymore from what we've seen, especially over the last couple of years when it comes to censorship. But we see all this information, and we know the materials that they're actually putting into the environment that cause this phenomena to happen, and yet we're not looking into all the side effects that it could or may be causing to us as people.
I agree with you. The problem is every peer-reviewed journal response that I've seen on the subject of silver iodide and its effects on biology, let's just put it that way, whether it be accumulation in water, whether it be downwind effects, they claim that it is short-lived in the atmosphere, that it never really travels more than about 50 to 100 miles away from its dispersal area. That, it's nothing to see here. But when we're talking about, programs that have been going on, cloud seeding with silver iodide was invented in 1946. And less than 11 months later, they were using it to steer a hurricane. And less than 3 years later, Irving P. Crick invented the ground-based cloud seeding generator, and now they cover the entire West Coast. These operate every single year from October through March across the entire West Coast. Nobody's talking about that. All they're talking about is theories about whether it's, and excuse my language, this is where I get really hella frustrated, fucking polymers, Morgellons, nanobots, transhumanism, all because of some clouds they see over their head, instead of acting on what we can prove. And what we can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt is there is no accountability. The laws that are on the books, even in your state, literally exempt the majority of the people who are doing these sorts of secret, things that we're all concerned about from even reporting that they're doing it. So we should start with trying to get transparency and accountability. That's why I proposed the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. Yes, it's based on a weather warfare ban at the United Nations. Yes, I hate the United Nations. I think they're useless. I think You're right. But at the same time, this needs to be applied not only at the United Nations as a start, but then in the United States as law, and then in your state as law. And hell, we could go down to the local county level. But if we don't find a place to start that we can all agree is a useful path forward, and we only continue to speculate and ruin our reputations with, I'm 58 seconds into this 5-minute video by Dane, and I've heard nothing but bullshit. There is nothing you can prove. And the funny thing is, the sad thing is that whenever I read peer-reviewed journals from the geoengineers themselves, the David Keiths, the Ken Calderas, the Alan Robochs, Bill Gates, funded, climate scientist Ben Kravitz, when I read their peer-reviewed journals on studying how to do mind control on the public so that they can get them to accept geoengineering, climate engineering, legalization of it, global governance of it, and worldwide deployment of it, they study Dane Wigington as a case study of how the public is scared of geoengineering, and they pick apart all of the things that he says that are untrue. And I've read like 10 of these journal entries. I could literally do a 2-hour show just on reading what other scientists say about the things Dane says. And the difference is, and this is to toot my horn, whenever they reference weathermodificationhistory.com, it's as if they're referencing fact. Here are some facts, and this is an actual MLA reference to a factual website. So whether, he's winning the, public relations fear porn Olympics or not, I don't really care.
Right.
What matters to me,
he is getting pretty big. I mean, and hey, can I say something?
Sure.
The thing about the mind control, and, I don't want to go off subject here, but I don't know if you've ever seen that video where they're actually controlling a bowl, or they're like using some type of microwave technology or something, and they can stop this big ferocious bowl on a dime.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh God, what is his name? He's a Spanish name doctor. I can't think of his name right now. I know who you're talking about.
It's on the internet. You can find it. I think on YouTube.
It's in the documentary. Social engineering human resources in the 21st century.
So it's just, and another thing is I want to say, since I live in Washington State, what I've been noticing is those round domes, they're like balls. I think it's NexRad or something. Well, I've seen them being transported up and down on I-5 on several occasions now on big semi-trucks. This is really the first time I've seen them. I've seen them before installed, but I've never seen an abundance of them traveling down the highway on several occasions now since the whole, pandemic thing happened, But other than that, I want to get off the phone here with you. It's been great talking to you. I really appreciate it. And the whole thing is, I guess I'm rooting for Dane, and I really want Dane to get that message out there. And maybe he is selling just a little bit of too much fear, but in the end, this is really going to affect us all. And it's just not good what they're putting in the environment. That's all I know.
I hope that he's successful too. I'm going to be honest with you. But here's the dilemma. How can you motivate people to action when fear is the mind killer? Fear demoralizes
right.
people.
And let me tell you something about that too. And that's another thing that I've been thinking in my own mind. It's like, man, what the hell can I do about all of this? It's just
the
out of
guy's
my
name was
control.
Delgado. I haven't even got to the clip yet. I'm still trying to.
I know.
I think it's Hrvoje Delgado, right?
I couldn't be sure. I just know it was of a Spanish descent guy. I've seen it, and I was just amazed. I've seen it many years ago.
Dude, it's been like 6 or 7 years, and I just pulled that out of my ass. But I think it was Hrvoje Delgado, mind control. Let me make sure that's the guy.
But hey, like I said, it's been good talking to you. I gotta actually, I have a job, and I actually worked so hard last night. I passed out with paint all over me, and I got to get cleaned up again and go finish up a paint job. But I just think as a community, we all really need to get together on everything. The evidence is out there, and whether it's good or bad, that silver iodide is, good for making snow or whatever, we need to look in the long-term effects of it. And I believe that there's other things being sprayed on our environment that are taking a toll on the human society. And we really need to look at it. If these places really care about our health, then we need to point out the most obvious thing. And that's
the problem. They don't care about your health. I went to the Environmental Protection Agency in 2015, and I testified in front of their committee on the health effects of all of the metals that we just talked about coming out of the back of these planes and cloud creation. And they did not care.
No, they didn't care about my father. I'll tell you about this. So my father, he died from Agent Orange side effects.
I'm sorry to hear that, Dave.
It's fine. He had Parkinson's, and I watched him fight with the government when he was in his younger days, 30s and stuff, and I remember all the problems he had. The government denied.
Before you go any further, you do know that during Operation Popeye, and a lot of Vietnam vets do not know this. During Operation Popeye, when they were doing weather warfare over Vietnam and Laos, Agent Orange wasn't the only thing they were breathing. Do you know what they
were messing with all types of defoliants?
There's the rainbow agents. I'm not even talking about that. There's agent like blue, green, and all the other ones. So Agent Orange was one of them. But the weather control, the weather warfare they did it with silver iodide, but they did it with something else also. Lead iodide.
Oh, God, that sounds just lovely, right?
So imagine being in a war zone, and meanwhile, your own, friendly fire, bombs, literally bombs created at China Lake, California, was dropping rain bombs that were filled with lead iodide that made the monsoons. That's why you saw Forrest Gump up to his waist in water. Everybody's seen the clips, but that was also filled with lead. So your father was poisoned with lead iodide in addition to all the other rainbow chemicals they were doing with the Operation Ranch Hand, which is
what I knew about him in the war is he basically called in the coordinates for the airstrikes. So he was probably pretty close to what was going down,
Well, he was also breathing in all the debris. There have been lawsuits here in South Carolina at Fort Jackson from the trainees for the Army, where they had a grenade range, and people were breathing the dust from the grenades and getting sick, and it was actually poisoning the aquifers in the area. So war is hell, man. War is hell.
It's the war machine, and here we are. We have this big thing with Ukraine going on, and it seems to me it's like it's all propaganda, and we don't need it. I have no problems with the Russians. I have no problems with the Ukrainians. I'm just trying to live over here and do my thing. But anyways, like I said, I got to keep it short, but we just got to keep getting the message out, whether it's Dane, whether it's you, whether it's any other person. I think it really needs to be brought to the front and center stage of why are all of these diseases occurring in our lifetimes? Is it because we're being poisoned from our air column? Is it? And we know it is. So we need to really start looking at that.
It's that first Batman film. If you eat the cereal and you put the lipstick on and you drink the tap water, then it kills you deader than shit. Right?
Yeah, we need
the original Michael Keaton Batman film.
We need to change our ways as a society, and and this whole great reset thing that's going on. Yeah. I understand why some of it's happening. Honestly, we don't need to be working so far from home and going all these places. We need to be in our own community. We need to all stick to our own little community.
You hit the nail on the head.
That's what it is.
Decentralization is the key to our future. Reliance on a global economy is the biggest bullshit narrative that has been sold to us for the last 20, 30 years. And most people don't know this. During World War II, we had these things called victory gardens. And the idea was that as a country, we're so busy building tanks and all the men are away. We don't have the food production to even keep up with this. So every single community was encouraged to grow their own food, victory gardens. And that is the way forward. That is the future solution to most of the problems that we face today. We would not have ship tracks covering the entire Pacific Ocean if people would just stop buying. People stop buying the bullshit from China. Stop buying it. You got to vote with your dollars. There's a lot of people talk a game, and then there are people that act on it. I will literally flip something over and says made in China. Fuck it. If I can't find an alternative, I'll just live without it.
I'll tell you a little thing about China. So that's what, I've got other channels, whatever. But anyway, so I have my own CNC machine, and I can make whatever I want. And basically, that's what I'm trying to do, is shut China down and make for my own area, my own United States. And we can all do that. We can all make our own products here. We don't need made in China. We don't need made in China products dumped in their rivers. And you look at some of these rivers.
Oh my God,
the most polluted rivers. This is insane. Yeah, all the trash and stuff. This is insane. That is what we're doing.
That is the climate change that I initially, when I created ClimateViewer, was mapping out. Was these extremely polluted areas, things like the Bayou Corn sinkhole, where, you know, a water main broke and literally made a hole in the ground that ate the whole town, you know, poisoned aquifers, you know, fracking, you know, damage, radiation poisoning. Oh, by the way, fracking creates dirty socks, which are filled with radiation. Dirty socks were dumped in a gas station at a truck stop because they can't, they don't want to pay to, you know, house this radioactive waste. Huh?
Hey, speaking of dirty socks, if you order a punching bag from Walmart or whatever, if you open it up, it's full of like used clothes from China.
Dang, you're killing me, man.
Anyway,
that's why I ordered my.
One more thing I want to say to you, then I'm going to let you go. So it all starts with you as a person in your own community, and it can be as simple as a plastic bucket, a pair of those little pickup tongs that you pick up litter with, and just out in front of your little area, maybe just the block you live on, spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, walk around, pick up all the trash on your street. Now, if everybody did that in their community just for 200 feet around their perimeter, that would make the biggest change ever. And that's how it could start.
And I can tell you, Dave, I've done that here.
And I do it here, too.
I live on a highway, so I can't stop all the people that throw the trash out, you know, coming down the highway.
Road,
But I have an adjoining road next to me. And everybody that lives down that neighborhood, I've had a personal discussion with them about it. I said, look, you know, please don't throw any trash out here. We want our neighborhood to be beautiful. We all need to know each other. That's where it starts.
That's where it starts.
A government of the people starts in your neighborhood. And, you know, fixing this pollution problem starts there. And then you can expand. So
that's the only way you can fix the concrete jungle we're living in, because that's what's happening all around. It's just like a concrete jungle. It's just getting all spread all around, and all of the trash is just laying everywhere. And that trash is what's making us sick, because it's depleting, it's breaking down, it's going back up into the environment, it's coming back down, it's going into our rainwater. So we need to all be aware of what we're doing. You just can't dump random motor oil behind the bush anymore. That is not cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great conversation, Dave, man. I'm glad you called in.
Yep. That's all I got. I got to jump in the shower. Got to get to work. Appreciate what you're doing. Keep getting the message out. No more hate. All right. How about that?
I agree.
All right, man.
I'm going to take some ideas and nod people. And that doesn't mean that I won't call him a dumbass every now and then. But
You're right. I love it. I love it. But it was a great conversation. And I'm glad that the message is getting out. I'm glad that this is going to grow into a movement, because there is no future for anybody if these forever chemicals continue to pollute our environment.
I fully agree with that, Dave. Thanks for calling.
All right,
brother.
man. You take care.
You too,
Bye.
man. Great call. Washington State in the house. So that's an interesting call, and I'm glad that Dave called in, and we got into a whole lot of things I didn't expect to. And I want to show this one other thing. Where did I put it? Since I broke the files out and I've already showed off my little stash, I'm going to show y'all one other little stashed item that I was going to keep a secret. Even Dom doesn't know about this. So Storm Fury 101 in chat is Dominic Marama from weathermodificationhistory.com. Everybody say thank you to Storm Fury 101. That's Dom. That's my brother from another mother in Canada. We're trying to extricate him from Canada. Side story. But anyway, I showed you guys all this, all of the weather modification reports, and I even have up to 2021. They haven't actually posted 2022 yet, but these are all of the files from 2021, fiscal year 2021 anyway. But I also have this, and I intend to put this up as soon as possible. And this is all of the weather control patents. And I don't think you'll believe how many I actually have at this point, because now we're talking about every country in the world, all of them. And you'll see things like hurricane speed reducer. There's an insane amount of stuff in here, and as you see whenever you go through this, there's Russian, there's Chinese. The categories at the top, and I'm going to go back here. How far did I go down? Great day. Let's see. Going across. Data was published. The actual patent images on it, all of that stuff. Who it was assigned to, who is the inventor, all of it, and I'm going to publish all that pretty darn soon. That's the plan. Hey, caller. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, it's Willie Fixer, John from Connecticut. How you doing?
Hey, good. Doing good, John. How you doing?
Not too bad. I was curious of your take on the waning magnetosphere messing with our weather. Kind of like by the whatever the sun cycles we're in that change every 12 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, so we are going, all the evidence points towards us going towards a grand solar minimum. And then we have what's the regular solar minimum, solar maximum cycle, which is typically 11 years, but it could be 11 to 13 years. And right now we are coming out of the solar minimum and headed towards a solar maximum, which should occur right at 2025. And then it's going to dip again. Now, during a solar minimum, and even so that we're on a grand track of the sun getting weaker and weaker, that's basically the output of the sun powers our ionosphere. Our ionosphere is like the shields on the Starship Enterprise. If the shields are not powered up, then more galactic cosmic rays can reach deeper into the atmosphere. Okay. So the requirement for creating clouds and rain is some sort of seed, whether it be an aerosol, speck of dust, mold, pollen, viruses, bacteria. There are many different types of cloud seed, water vapor, and then some sort of ionizing radiation or static electricity to make the water stick to the seed. Now, the galactic cosmic rays are energy from space. And as our ionosphere weakens, more GCR can come in, which means that we should have more cloudy conditions, more rain, bigger hurricanes, all of that sort of, kind of like what's going on. Now, of course, you'll never hear this in the mainstream media. They'll blame it all on climate change, which is their way of saying because CO2, because greenhouse gases. Yeah. But greenhouse gases have nothing to do with what the sun is doing. No matter how big our heads are, no matter how important we think we are, sun gonna do what sun gonna do, right?
Right.
So this is interestingly enough, the
it's kind of tilted too now, right? Because like the North Pole or the magnetic north is kind of moving.
And there has been a series of pole reversals documented through the history of the planet. Whether that's going to occur within our lifetimes, when
I mean, it's just changing. I don't think it's going to result.
Well, I mean, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear meltdown had a 9.0 earthquake, which actually threw the Earth off axis by like a degree or two.
No kidding.
So yeah, things are it actually changed the axis of the Earth. That earthquake was so large. There are many factors. This is why I keep going back to the point that when climate change scientists plug their information into their models and say the temperature of the planet's going to be blah 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 in so many years, and that's going to lead to this, that, and the other. You mean to tell me they're accounting for grand solar minimums? Unknown unknowns is the key word of the day. We know what we know. think we know what we do not know, but we cannot account for unknown unknowns. So an example would be, let's say they do geoengineer. Let's say they get away with it. They legalize it. They're geoengineering the whole damn planet.
And
then volcanoes go off. And then,
it changes the whole ball of wax.
Yeah. Suddenly now we've got, well, you're cooling the planet. The sun's cooling down. And fuck, we had 5 huge volcanoes going off. Suddenly it's looking like the movie Snowpiercer, and we're in a freaking ice age. Would that be man-made climate change? I think so.
Tonga that went off. That was like,
Tonga.
Whatever. It was like that 10 nuclear bombs or some shit.
Bro, you brought up Tonga. I'm gonna go there. I was saving this, but I'll go ahead and just bring it up on the screen. You guys will love this. Tonga eruption blasted unprecedented amount of water into the stratosphere. August 2nd, 2022.
Underwater. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, because it was an underwater eruption. It blew a massive amount of water into the stratosphere. Does any scientist willing to go on record to say we know how that affects the climate? They don't, because they have no freaking clue. And these are the kinds of things that you cannot predict. You don't know when it's going to happen, but the equivalent of 58,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of water went into the stratosphere when that eruption occurred.
Yeah, but boom, that was a few months back, right?
Yeah, that's a hell of a water balloon, right?
That's the one that I think is messing with the weather globally right now more than anything else. I mean, I understand there's so much more, but Mother Nature, how you doing? Yeah,
well, the interesting part about it is most people tend to associate solar activity, specifically sunspots, with earthquakes. But I found a really interesting website, and I'm going to bring it up real quick. It's called JupitersDance.com.
Jupiter does it, huh? Wow.
Well, no, it's just something it's unrelated, but I'll make the point real quickly. And you can see this on the screen. I'll drop it in chat for everybody. In addition to the link for that Tonga eruption, I have a folder that I keep all my latest news that I never make videos out of because I just don't have enough time, dude. If I had a steady income, then I'd be making a video, 2 and 3 videos a day with the amount of shit that gets sent my way. But regardless,
I follow this guy, Magnetic Reversal News, and he's also got the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. He's I know who
you're talking about.
Geologist. He's a smart son of a bitch. You and him would get along real well.
Well, I also suggest that people watch Adapt 2030. If you never heard of him, his name is David Devine. Adapt 2030 on YouTube.
Oh, I've seen that guy.
He's pretty amazing as well. But basically, the Jupiter's Dance website pretty much shows the exact opposite of what most people assume. So whenever there is a lack of sunspots, when the sun is weakest, is when we get the largest earthquakes and volcanic eruptions on the planet. Now, this is interesting because and I'll find this real quick. Transfer events. We just recently found out about what's called flux transfer events. And science literally had no clue what these are, but basically there is, and I can show you a picture right here on the screen. It's almost like spaghetti noodles of a vortex where energy comes out of the North Pole, goes back to the North Pole of the sun, comes out the South Pole of the sun, and returns to Earth in the South Pole of the Earth. So there's this.
It kind of looks like them, what do you call them, old cave paintings when they do that stuff in the rocks, like they actually saw it happen, right?
Yeah. So basically, these spaghetti noodles of vortexes of energy are a circuit, a Birkeland current circuit between the Earth and the Sun. So to make a complicated point, very simple. Right now, the disk is clear. The Sun has almost no sunspots. Is it surprising that we would have a major eruption? The reason why is because when there are sunspots and massive CMEs coming from the Earth, coming from the Sun, the Earth is receiving energy. When there is a lack of sunspots and the Sun is in recession, the Earth is giving it back. And as that energy erupts from the core of the planet, from the magnetic field lines out and bursts into space, that's when you get massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
Cool.
Most people don't see it that way. That's what the current science is showing. I ain't suspicious observer. I don't talk about the Sun every day, but
it's a little bizarre.
I am a nerd and I do follow these things, but flux transfer events are a relatively new phenomenon. They just found out about this, I believe, in 2018. So this is a new one. It's going to be interesting. Science is always evolving, dude.
Yeah, and that's totally cool. I get it just from, remember the old days when somebody would drive by with their car and your TV would jump all over the place because they had non-resistor plugs or whatever, or a hot magneto in their car.
I got it bad enough.
Like the same,
I got it bad enough from the truckers going down the highway with, I'm in South Carolina, so we redneck boys would get on the CB radio, and my homeboy, he had a Texas Star 1000 watt amp for his freaking CB. For those who don't know,
illegal, right?
Yeah. For those who don't know, the FCC says 4 watts is the maximum you can transmit. We hooked his CB radio up to 1,000 watt amp, a Texas Star 1000 watt amp. And he was talking over everybody in the state, North Carolina and Georgia. And we were at the McDonald's. He keys up the CB radio and the antenna is literally like dragging the light fixtures overhead because it's got a big whip antenna. Dude, he keyed that thing up and the computer monitors in the McDonald's all flickered out black.
Wow, what a trip. I remember that skip plan. The guys would just stomp over everybody.
Yeah.
And they had that southern drawl stuff going on.
Town hall crunch. That's what we would do all the time. You hear some truckers having a conversation. You're like, shut up. You cannot talk anymore. I own your channel. And drunk and trolling everybody on the interwaves. Great call, brother, man. You got anything else?
No, that was great. That brings back funny memories. 10-4. I got to go take a 10-100. KPN, Barracuda. KPN,
Roger that. Over and out.
KPN 8481.
Good one, brother. You be safe, dude.
Have a good day.
Great question, man. Thanks for bringing it up. Oh, that's funny, man. Well, we covered the ionosphere. Who knew? Love it. Love a good conversation like that. South Carolina, you close to Charleston? That place has weird tunnels and an eerie vibe. Charleston has a very interesting history. In the Bay of Charleston is Fort Sumter, named after General Thomas Sumter, which is where we defeated the British. Basically, the walls of Fort Sumter were made out of the palm tree, the palmetto tree, our state tree. And it turns out that palm trees are very spongy and the cannonballs could not penetrate the walls of Fort Sumter. And General Thomas Sumter is where I live, Sumter, South Carolina is his namesake, and General Thomas Sumter's house and his burial site is in Sumter, South Carolina. We're actually located closer to the center of South Carolina. We're about 45 minutes from Columbia and about 2 hours away from Charleston. So I can go 2 hours to Charleston or 2 hours to Myrtle Beach or 2 hours to Charlotte, North Carolina, about 4 or 5 to Atlanta. That's why I went to all the Grateful Dead and Fish and Widespread Panic concerts when I was a kid, because they were all nearby. Everything's nearby. And Sumter's a slogan, uncommon patriotism. You better believe it, baby. All right, let's see if we can make it through this 5-minute video, because I'm wanting to actually see if there's a point here.
Operations have been ongoing for over 75 years. Extensive testing conducted by geoengineeringwatch.org, both on the ground and in the air, have confirmed that at minimum, highly toxic climate engineering elements like aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, polymer fibers, surfactants, and more are being dispersed by climate engineering aircraft in disguise all over the world.
All right, that's absolute, utter bullshit. Because as we showed earlier, and I'll bring the picture back up. Is that it? That's it right there. I already showed you. Dane, this was in his documentary, The Dimming, that he flew a Cessna and then he got a different plane. And he flew a little higher and he went into the clouds and they tested. By the way, they were only testing at the micron level. And for those who don't know their sizes, microns much bigger, meaning conglomerations, like many particles. It would take millions of nanoparticles to make a micron. So just saying, they don't have the equipment necessary to test for nanoparticles. They were scanning things at the micron level, so they were actually looking at soot deposits that had metals in them. But as I've already shown you, and all of the references are on climateviewer.com/Cirrus Clouds Matter, where you can see the actual reports that were already out there before Dane, flew up into the clouds, that the jet fuel contains these metals, that they have tested all of this many times and admit, even in the IPCC report, that these metals come out of planes because it's in the jet fuel. Not secret programs, not secret freaking pipes and pumps, in the fucking jet fuel. But whatever. So he put on a show. They went and flew up into a cloud, and he wants to take credit for proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are metals in them clouds. I mean, I've been talking about that for the better part of 10 years and naming the scientists who actually said it and the military who admits to it. So with their names and addresses on it and their phone numbers and their email addresses, you can contact these people. Ulrich Schumann will be glad to have a conversation with you about this.
Geoengineeringwatch.org has now identified science studies that examine and promote the element of graphene for use as an artificial ice nucleation element. Processes of artificial ice nucleation for weather modification have long since been a primary.
I also have numerous patents for the same thing. This does not mean there have been no detections so far of graphene in the air coming from planes. I agree. There are many different studies on everything using graphene for everything from freaking, medicine to computer chips to jet fuel additives to weather control. Graphene is a new thing. They want to use it for everything. The thing that's going to make the biggest impact on the world is in batteries. Damn, when we get graphene batteries, this world is going to change overnight. You have no idea what kind of impact that'll have. But continue.
A component of the ongoing climate engineering operations, though even now, very few are aware of this aspect of climate engineering operations.
That's because nobody's done it yet, dude. Nobody's actually gone out and used graphene to do a weather modification project yet. I would know. I mean, the second that, because the people who do these weather modification experiments, they love to brag. They love to brag. The first time they actually go up and spray graphene, you're going to hear it on this channel, because all of my alarms are going to go off and say, hey, these peer-reviewed journals just went out today, and these people are bragging about using graphene to do weather control, blah, 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 blah. And then it'll also be in, all the mainstream media rags within like 2 or 3 days afterwards, because that's what inevitably happens. Have you not watched any of my Tuesday news days? Anyway, please continue.
The patent shown is referred to as the Nullenberg patent. It outlines one method of artificial ice nucleation for weather modification. Translated, seeding cloud moisture with toxic ice nucleating elements in order to create a surface cool down. So
he's talking about cloud seeding. What the hell? This is publication date 1971. Let's see that 3671. Where I gotta go? Let me bring this over here so I can actually find it. All right, and then let's go and find that. Right there it is. 361.3992A. 361.3992A. Okay, there it is. All right, so let's move on over. Finnegan, that's the one. Grab that up. And boom. Now we're on the same page. So let's take a look at what old Dane's looking at. A pyrotechnic formulation for use in weather modification comprising a fuel, what? And an oxidizer, and a mixture of metal iodate and alkali iodate. Upon combustion, metal iodide and alkali iodide are generated as mixtures and complexes which show ice nuclei activity from -5 to -20 degrees Celsius, depending on the molar range of the metal iodide and alkali iodide. Okay. So this is actually another example of putting some shit in the jet fuel, comprising a fuel and an oxidizer, a additive in jet fuel, not in a pipe, not in a pump. Thanks for pointing this out, Dane. Let's see what you got to say about it.
Such winter weather whiplash events are generally highly sensationalized by corporate media. The climate engineering factor is caused by corporate cool down.
Let's do this again.
For one method of the patent shown is referred to as the Nullenberg patent. It outlines one method of artificial ice nucleation for weather modification. Translated, seeding cloud moisture with toxic ice nucleating elements in order to create a surface cool down. Such.
Am I missing something here? I mean, bruh, I don't even know what to say at this point. I mean, like, he's totally just misstating what this is actually about. And used by or for the government of the United States of America for governmental purposes without the payment of any royalties thereof. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's jet fuel, bro. That's a fuel additive. I'm just really surprised to see this. 361.3992A. which is up here. And that is the actual original. That's not right. That's not right. It's just not right. Something is wrong here. We will get to the bottom of this. I promise. Do your research, Jim. What just happened? I grabbed the wrong one. Boy, don't I feel sheepish. I knew something was up. All right, there we go. Nolenberg. The present invention provides a method for producing rain and snow from natural atmospheric clouds using seeding agents characterized by high solubility in water and large endothermic heat solution in water. Typical examples of materials suitable for use in practicing the invention are urea, potassium nitrate, nitrite, okay, ammonium nitrite. Laboratory experiments have shown that urea to be effective in producing ice crystals in the vapor cloud. Now, this is also something that's pretty commonly known. I've talked about this. This actually is cloud seeding. But if you come here to the weather modification timeline, and I'm going to sit back on this, and then we go to the weather modification. Actually, just put in reporting Act of 1972. You can actually see the files that they fill out. So this is what they look like. And when you look at it, what you see is interim activity and final report. This is what I was wanting to show you guys earlier. And wouldn't you know it, right here on the side, type and amount of cloud seeding agents used: silver iodide, carbon dioxide, urea. Maskey, I wish Dane would go more hands-on with his audience, but then everybody would find out he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That's the reason we're doing all this right now. So this is a patent for using urea, which is on the NOAA Form 17-4A, which is the interim activity reports and final reports required by Public Law 92-205, which was started by the Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972. And on that form, it says silver iodide, carbon dioxide, urea. The patent he is talking about says right there, practicing this invention are urea. Okay? This is just another in a series of current assignee, the National Science Foundation. This is not new news. Hell, this is 1966. Do you know how many different forms of cloud seeding they've come off? Yeah, they literally are pissing on you. That is exactly what I'm saying. Urea is pee-pee. Come on, people. You don't know this? Urea is pee-pee. Urea serves as an important role for metabolism of nitrogen-containing compounds by animals and is the main nitrogen-containing substance in urine. In mammals, it's urea. It's pee-pee juice. Yes. It's on the fucking thing right there. This is a NOAA document to report weather modification activities in America, and right there, type and amount of agent used. Piss. Urea. Sodium chloride, and then the my favorite category, other. Just other. Pews. Yeah, you're cracking me up. All right, back to this thing. We've made it almost halfway. I need to shut up and actually get through this. But I swear, everything he says, just I immediately take offense and I go, bro, really? Why did you show that?
Weather whiplash events are generally highly sensationalized by corporate media.
I do agree that corporate media sensationalizes all crazy weather events.
The climate engineering factor is, of course, never mentioned.
The climate engineering factor is, of course, never mentioned. That's an implication. This is the definition of fear porn. Make a statement, put a picture on screen, make an inference without ever saying it. Phytotoxicity of graphene family nanoparticles and its mechanisms. So he goes and he basically says, bro, here's a patent about cloud seeding with urea. Doesn't know what urea is, or he'd mentioned that they're literally pissing on you, which I think is funny and sad at the same time, but at least understand what you're showing on the screen. And he says,
whiplash events are generally highly sensationalized by corporate media.
agreed.
The climate engineering factor is, of course, never mentioned.
The increasing release of graphene family nanoparticles is
Begin this critical question.
in the ecosystem is one of the key environmental problems that humanity is facing. So yeah, graphene in the air would be a big deal and a big problem. The problem is prove that that's coming out of a plane. We're halfway through this shit, and you're saying secret government programs are spraying graphene out of planes, that's what's going on. This shit literally makes my head want to explode.
Question: is graphene oxide being used as one of the many highly toxic climate engineering elements that have already been identified?
Is it? I want to know.
By seeding cloud moisture with artificial and chemical ice nucleating elements, the weather makers trigger an endothermic or energy absorbing reaction and thus are able to engineer extensive and often extreme surface cooldowns.
Thought on that real quick. Thought on that. He's talking about the endothermic reaction as a result of cloud seeding. He's not saying cloud seeding. He's what was the words he used? Because I got to translate all the bullshit he says. It's only
that have
5
already
minutes.
been identified. By seeding cloud moisture with artificial and chemical ice nucleating elements, the weather makers trigger an endothermic or energy absorbing reaction.
The weather makers trigger. Okay. So I'm gonna take you down a trip down memory lane real quick. There, go to my tweet tour. Where's my tweet tour? Oh hell. Oh hell. I'm just gonna go to connect.climateviewer.com and I'm gonna go down to my Twitter and I'm gonna go here. And on my Twitter, you will see this. This picture is a quote from Irving Langmuir. And what does it say? Rainmaking, Bernard Vonnegut, Vincent Schaefer, and Irving Langmuir invented cloud seeding. Okay? So this is from a long time ago, but this is about the truth on the endothermic reactions of the weather makers. Not the fucking planes you're seeing, not the clouds you're seeing, but actual cloud seeding. Rainmaking or other weather control can be as powerful a war weapon as the atom bomb, a Nobel Prize winning physicist said today. Dr. Irving Langmuir, pioneer in rainmaking, said the government should seize on the phenomenon of weather control as it did on the atomic energy when Albert Einstein told the late President Roosevelt in 1939 of the potential power of an atom-splitting weapon. In the amount of energy liberated, the effect of 30 milligrams of silver iodide under optimum conditions equals that of one atomic bomb. Right there. And this is a video from quite a while ago. This is an article that I wrote in 2013. But yes, there is an endothermic reaction. And then, according to Dr. Irving Langmuir, the amount of energy liberated, the effect of 30 milligrams, now imagine how small that is, of cloud seeding material, silver iodide, under optimum conditions equals that of an atomic bomb. I'll drop you the link in chat. You can watch it yourself. Links, and more links. We has them. That's a human engineering thing.
And thus are able to engineer extensive and often extreme surface cooldowns. This is often in spite of previously far above freezing temperatures in the surrounding region. Weather whiplash swings of temperatures are the results. There are numerous and increasing recorded scenarios of record high temperatures to record low in a single day. This is not nature. It is the result of chemical ice nucleating operations.
It was also found that in after 9/11, when they grounded all flights, that this was called the diurnal temperature range. That whenever it's cloudy at night, it stayed warmer, and that whenever we had cloud-free nights, it got colder. Therefore, the secret government climate engineering programs that he keeps referencing, the clouds in the sky that are coming out of the planes, they actually affect the temperature range on a day-to-day basis. This is on weathermodificationhistory.com on the timeline. And if you go to artificial clouds, you'll see it, but it's right here. September 11th, air groundings, contrails affect daily temperature range. Link in chat. Lots of homework, people. Lots of homework. We got that stuff. But you can actually see that down here. And tons of references on this. David Travis and my interview with Dr. Rangasai, health authority from the FAA. Ulrich Lohmann and Blas Gasparini, a Cirrus Cloud Climate Dial. Yeah. See, they don't go around calling it secret government program. They call it a Cirrus Cloud Climate Dial, as you can see here. Cirrus Cloud seeding may help to reduce climate warming, but large uncertainties remain. So lots of references for the things that I claim. And, you know, beautiful article by Dominic Marama here. Thank you, Storm Fury 101. Briefly empty skies offer climate clues. You should go over there and look at it. It's pretty interesting stuff. And, you know, some stuff from the Weather Channel and all this stuff about, you know, how these clouds, these different cirrus clouds, affect the climate. It's kind of like that, but we won't get into all that right now. Maybe we will after the video. I want to actually get through this video because I got other stuff I need to do today, and you probably do too. But this is hella interesting. I'm so glad y'all tuned me into this. I'm still waiting for proof that graphene's coming out of planes.
The climate engineers have consistently utilized artificial ice nucleation operations seeded into cloud moisture to create surface cooldowns, while ionosphere heater microwave transmissions from facilities like HAARP in Alaska continue to fry other regions under artificially created domes of atmospheric high pressure.
Okay. Absolute 100% bullshit right there. Absolute provable 100% bullshit right there. So HAARP was sold from the U.S. Air Force Research Lab and the United States Naval Research Lab to the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Chris Fallon was the previous director of HAARP. I talked to him personally on a cell phone multiple times now. If you don't believe me, because some people probably don't, like, bullshit, you talk to Chris Fallon on HAARP. What that is Chris Fallon on my WhatsApp And he's going to be off deployment in a week or two. And hopefully I'm going to get to actually interview him in person, which would be fucking amazing. But regardless, Chris said that basically it costs about $500,000 per hour to operate HARP. HARP is actually only 3/4 of the array is operational now. It isn't operating at the same power that it was when the military owned it because they can't afford to fix it up yet. They're renting HARP out by the hour to, whoever bids on it. You can go to any ham radio operator or web SDR, that's software defined radio, web SDR, and you can listen to 2.8 to 10 megahertz and tell when HARP is on. HARP is never on. It is almost never on. If it's on, even during one of their last, big, there's something about a man calling out another man's bullshit. I hope it's something good because I can't help it. I mean, this is an absolute fucking lie. To imply that HARP is somehow, he's gone from graphene is going to kill you. It's coming from the secret government programs of those people to cloud seeding with PP, but doesn't mention the urea or nitrites and any of that stuff. And then segues to, oh yeah, graphene's scary and toxic. It is. We know this. And now he's to diurnal temperature range, but doesn't know what that means, and saying that HARP is the reason for it when HARP is never on. This is the kind of shit that people buy. I mean, 94,000 fucking views. I mean, I should just start scaring the hell out of people and lying. I could make a good living and I wouldn't have to go get a job tomorrow. That'd be great. But you know what? Somebody's got to be willing to say the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody's got to be willing to say the truth. And you can scare the hell out of somebody by putting together a nice little fear porn piece, less than 5 minutes worth of effort, and just scare the shit out of people with complete lies and make a buttload of money on it. But that's the state of our culture.
The sold out so-called science community has now condoned the use of graphene oxide as an artificial ice nucleation element without consideration of the consequences to human health and the entire web of life. We are literally under assault from above. The ramifications are grave and immediate. Not only are the planet's protective atmospheric layers and life support systems being completely compromised, every breath we take contains an ever-increasing amount of highly toxic elements that are extremely bioavailable and bioaccumulative.
I agree with that. That's why I put together this infographic to show you what those metals are coming out of the planes. It is bad that all of these are accumulating in the atmosphere. But it's not helping anybody do anything about it when you keep saying that it's all a secret government program and we don't know who the hell is doing it, where the hell it's coming from. And by the way, there's polymers and graphene and Morgellons and nanobots and HARPs involved, and it's all a depopulation. Oh my God.
If nanoparticulates of graphene oxide are in fact already being used for artificial ice nucleation operations, what's to stop the controllers from utilizing the graphene particles for biological carrier platforms as well?
If graphene is being used to do weather control, his video is called, now I'm going to take this back to, I think his name was Bob, who started this shit. The video is called Graphene Skies ? I'm at 4 minutes into this. This is when you should be banging home your point. You got 5 minutes. We're at 4:14. 5:16 is the end of the video. By now, he should have proven his case And at 4 minutes in, he goes, if they're using graphene oxide, link here, just watch his stupid shit. I don't care. This is the height of speculation and fear porn. That is what this is. Speculation and fear porn. Also known as FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But want to know how I know this? Because I'm pretty intimately familiar with it. And I wrote a whole section about people who bullshit people. It's on ClimateViewer.com/propaganda. And you'll see it right here, because fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Now, why is this important? Because it is FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That is how you control people. That is how politicians control people. That is how the mainstream media control people. That's how advertisers control people. That's how Dane Wigington gets so much attention, by using fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Bruh.
Answer: nothing. At any point of their choosing, the controllers can wage all-out biological warfare against populations via the existing climate intervention atmospheric aerosol spraying operations. Though we face countless challenges and threats, we must first focus on priorities. If we can't inhale without sucking in highly toxic nanoparticles, we face a fight for life, nothing less.
I agree with that. That's why we should act on what we know. And what we know, link to the chart of your ingredients, please. I could throw that up somewhere. Actually, it's, if you go to my YouTube, here, I'll go to my YouTube real quick. Hold on. My channel. And then go right here. There's a playlist called Cirrus Clouds Matter. And in it is right here, metal trails and jet exhaust. Okay? There is the chart. I will send you the link to the entire playlist, which is right here. Here is the link to that. And it is Cirrus Clouds Matter playlist. Specifically, this video, which is 24 minutes long. And I will go a step further and take you to the Cirrus Clouds Matter page that tells you all this already. And I'll show you exactly where on the page the references are, because this stuff matters to me. And that's, by the way, a tweet from Chris Fallon agreeing with me. I got into an argument with Paul Fox from Paul Delgado from Fox News weather, that sounding rockets are chemtrails from space. And Chris, said, with apologies to Paul Fox, who is doing his best here under the current circumstances, here are some pictures of trimethyl aluminum trails from sounding rockets launched from the Poker Flat Research Range north of the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In other words, legitimate chemtrail science. Now, I know that I personally had something to do with Chris using the word chemtrail and backing me up on this, but it's pretty funny nonetheless. Tweet still there? Tweet's still there. Kind of funny. But yeah, it was a hell of a thread going on there. And this was in response to, can I actually see the thread? We're getting sidetracked, but anyway. Good stuff. Good stuff. So if you go down here, I have a Cirrus Cloud fact. Frequently asked questions, and it tells you everything. How language controls the chemtrail debate. What makes a cirrus cloud? You click on that, you can actually see, how they say sulfate aerosols create nucleation mode and coat soot particles. That fuel sulfur is responsible for rapid and volatile particulate matter formation in the plume. This is directly from the U.S. Air Force Research Phillips Laboratory. But I have other, aerosol cloud interactions is one of the main uncertainties in climate research. This is Ulrich Lohmann again, the one who was talking about cirrus cloud seeding. Anyway, carbon black self-levitating cloud seeding. Are cirrus clouds a bad thing? Yes. They create a Venus effect by trapping heat. Just click on these. They pop down. What are they doing about cirrus clouds? Are cirrus clouds melting the poles? According to these, yes. They are melting the poles. Not greenhouse gases. Clouds. But anyway, are cirrus clouds filled with metals? And this is the question of the day. This is what his damn video is about. Answer, true. IPCC report says aluminum, titanium, chromium, iron, nickel, and barium are estimated to be present in parts per billion by volume level at nausea exit planes. And then they cite two 1975 reports, which I thought was fucking ridiculous. Okay? I'm going to drop chat just for a second so you can actually see this. So I thought that was fucking ridiculous, so I wanted to dig further. So that's when I came into these studies. Physical and chemical characterization of non-volatile aircraft engine exhaust. What is this? This is right here. Yeah, I can bring that up, and I'll bring this up. Let's see if we can get them to load real quick. Chemical characterization of freshly emitted particulate matter from aircraft exhaust using single particle mass spectrometry. And this is from Ulrich Lohmann, Institute of Atmospheric and Climate Science, ETH Zurich, Switzerland. This is an entire team from Switzerland. And they have, all this stuff is right here. First particulate matter aircraft exhaust measurements using single particle mass spectrometry. That can measure nanoparticles. Okay? The majority of the investigated particles contain one or more metallic compounds. The metals and the soot were found to be internally mixed and emitted particles, meaning the metals are in the soot. The soot acts as a cloud condensation nuclei. It is why planes make clouds, and they have for back to the 40s all the way to the present. All the fear porn you could stack up won't change that. And this is from the Wayback Machine because this got deleted. This is also from ETH, Switzerland. And again, Ulrich Lohmann and Ulrich Schumann, two top researchers on this topic on the planet. I've read almost everything they've ever written. So much so that I debated Mick West, the chemtrail debunker, and that didn't work out too well for him. But soot particles formed by incomplete combustion of hydrocarbon fuels affect the global radiation budget directly due to their strong light-absorbing nature and indirectly by interacting with clouds as cloud condensation nuclei and ice nucleating particles. Now, you hear Dane saying ice nucleating particles all the time, and he'll never tell you that it's soot. It's fucking carbon black dust, aka soot, or black carbon. All of these are synonymous. It's right there in the actual. Where are we at? Back here. So anyway, from that paper, the detected metallic compounds were all internally mixed with soot particles. The most abundant metals in the exhaust were chromium, iron, molybdenum, calcium, Na. Why am I having a brain fart? It's sodium, right? Na? Sodium? Yeah, Na, sodium. Ha! Nailed it! Bitches, know your science. Anyway, so they listed all the things, and I gathered a list of all the things that they had, and I put them into this infographic I created because I made it. I'm a graphics artist, in addition to be a web designer, in addition to being a much better researcher. Abundant chromium, iron, molybdenum, sodium, calcium, and aluminum also detected vanadium, barium, cobalt, copper, nickel, lead, magnesium, manganese, silicon, titanium, and zirconium. And then this, straight from the military, trace element and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon analysis of jet engine fuels, Jet A, JP5, and JP8. And this is why I tell everybody that JP8 is a big problem. This is a link to the old DTIC.mil. It's now like apps.dtic. What I'll have to do is actually grab this number and look that up that way, because it's not going to get it otherwise, because they've changed. DTIC.mil changed their whole thing up. So anyway, here it is, straight from the Defense Technical Information Center. Shaboom. And you can see that from that I pulled this because I digs hard. JP5 is the gasoline, and JP8 is the kerosene that they switched to. This also coincides with the first time the word chemtrails was ever used. And as you can see here, when they were using JP5, 5,000 parts per billion. And when they switched to JP8 in 1996, they finished the conversion, which is called the single fuel concept. Calcium in the atmosphere coming from planes shot up to 31,120 parts per billion, aka for people like Dane who cannot do their math, that's 31 parts per million. 31 parts per million. Aluminum went from 2,100 to 9,300 parts per billion. Iron, 210 to 1,100. Magnesium, 1,000 to 5,800. The list goes on. Strontium went from 70 to 351 parts per billion. Titanium went from 35 to 1,056 parts per billion. So was there a massive increase in metal particulates coming out of military planes flying JP8 jet fuel, which started in 1996, which happens to be the first article on the internet was written in 1997 that used the word chemtrails, was talking about JP8 jet fuel. Riddle me this. So all of these are on there, in addition to talking about aluminum nanoparticles and all of that. As you can see here, I've got other stuff on here. Spray visualization and alternative aviation turbine fuel embedded with metallic nanoparticles. Nanoparticles increase biofuel performance, and they literally say Jatropha biodiesel, a fuel derived from the crushed seeds of the Jatropha plant, water, a surfactant, and then blended with different proportions of alumina nanoparticles. So yeah, all of this in the jet fuel, all of this referenced. You can see where it came from, bro.
The entire web of life
it.
and the planet's life support systems face the same threat. Reaching a critical mass of awareness is the only way forward in this fight. See the activist.
I agree. Reaching a critical mass of awareness around the amounts of metals in jet fuel, and ends to the speculation about the secret government programs, the secret this and the secret that, or are they spraying graphene? If they were making fear porn bullshit videos, I cannot believe I had to sit through this. You got to see how fucking triggered I am right now. But this needs to happen. I mean, this is why I have not done a what? Man, are y'all on that long a delay? Come on, Diane. Yes, Na equals sodium. I know this. I was having a brain fart because I have too many thoughts going on right now. I'm triggered. Straight triggered.
This suggestions link on the homepage of geoengineeringwatch.org to learn specific details on how to help in this urgent effort to sound the alarm. Share credible data from a credible source.
Share credible data from a credible source. Go to weathermodificationhistory.com, go to climateviewer.com, and see all of the maps of all of the weather modification projects and where the cloud seeding generators are on climateviewer.org. That is the most credible information you're going to find anywhere on the internet. I will put my balls on that. I will put my reputation on that. I will have any scientist criticize it. I will debate any scientist or politician on this topic because I know what I know. I know what I don't know. And I certainly have counted for the unknown unknowns because all this could change within a moment. When there is evidence that graphene is currently in jet fuel or being sprayed from planes used for weather modification, I will know because they cannot shut up. They can't shut up. So,
make your voice heard, make every day count. This is Dane Wigington with geoengineeringwatch.org.
All right, well, we got through that one. So that being said, you sons of bitches made me watch a 5-minute fear porn piece from Dane Wigington on this Sunday fun day. You have ruined my Sunday fun day. Now I'm gonna have to make up for this by I'm gonna need to go outside first. Get radiated. And you people should be ashamed of yourself bringing up Dane around here like that. And if he tries to copyright claim this, I'll make a video about that too, because he's notorious for that. He is notorious for copyright claiming anybody that criticizes him. I criticize you, Dane. I think that your video is full of fear porn, speculation, and bullshit. Has no pragmatic solutions. And everything that you claim to have found out, you found out on my website, bruh. Be real. We know. You took my patent list and you put it on your website. I ain't going to let that go. When Dane Wigington goes on Alex Jones' podcast, video, show, whatever, and Alex is like, "That's Dane, this list of patents, this is amazing. How did you ever put this together?" And he's like, "Well, I worked real hard on it." You stole my patent list, Dane. Took it right from my website and then went on Alex Jones and lied and said you did it. You stole an article from Dutch Sense. It is at the top of your page. You took Dutch Sense's name off of it. Okay, that's enough about Dane Wigington. Well, everybody, I hope that you found this informative. I hope that you enjoyed me. How the fuck did I get muted? That's not... How did I get muted? I mean, like, I didn't touch my mute button. When I touched my mute button, and somehow it just got muted. Anyway. Well, I appreciate you all in chat. It has been a hell of a journey reading the chat while he mentioned Alex and YouTube muted him. So I was saying, thank you for the reminder. Dane is the chemtrail Alex Jones. And though Alex has been right about some things, he shouts real loud and likes to be scary. And hey, that may be entertainment for a lot of you. Maybe I'm not entertaining enough. Maybe I should be scarier. Hell, I'd probably make a lot of money. I'd like to have 100,000 views on my videos, but that hasn't happened in a long fucking time. And that's why tomorrow I'm going to get a jobby job. But that doesn't mean that I will ever quit doing this. Whenever I can find the time to make videos, I will make videos. The more you guys support me through PayPal, Patreon, buy some merch, get a VPN, the longer I'll be able to continue keeping all this up. Right now, it's time for me to buckle down and go get a job. But still, when you have nothing to lose and you have all the facts on your side and you believe you're right, then you have no shame in criticizing others. And the day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. So it's good that people who claim to be against geoengineering have differing opinions. I think that's perfectly fine. That's even helpful. If we all agreed, then we could all be wrong, and that would be a terrible place to be as well. So, like I said at the beginning of this, I encourage you to go to geoengineeringwatch.org. I encourage you to watch his videos. And I encourage you to, if something useful comes up in them, send it my way. But please do the same thing for my work. I've dedicated 14 years to creating 3 of the most fact-filled websites on these topics on the entire internet, bar none. And it is highly censored. My YouTube, my social media, and my websites are shadow banned, highly censored, and that's why I constantly am nervous that there isn't a future where I can grow. I highly doubt this channel will ever see 100,000 subscribers, let alone 1 million. First of all, I'm not talking about gossip or cats or any of that kind of shit. So it's just not likely. They're never going to let me on Joe Rogan. They don't allow truth like this to come out on big platforms. But that doesn't mean that I'll ever stop, because you know what? I have 2 daughters who are going to have kids, and this world is only going to get worse if good men do nothing to stop evil. And I do believe what's going on is evil. I mean, honestly, Diane, I doubt that Dane will listen to this. He will probably get many emails about that I criticized his video, and then he'll immediately... I'm not muted now. You're trolling me. I have sound. I see it. So if there's no sound now, it is YouTube. YouTube's already deleted my damn video, and I'm live. You watch. I would not be the least bit surprised. Let me go look, because this would be funny. The good news is I'm recording this right now locally. So even if this gets copyright strike, it's still going to end up on my Odyssey, my BitChute, and my Rumble, which you can find on connect.climateviewer.com. So be sure to go over there and subscribe to my Odyssey, my BitChute, my Rumble. Take your choice. If you're watching this on one of those later on, come over to my YouTube channel because this is where the live section happens. Steve Rebelli, I gotta go drop some urea, bro. you killing me. Y'all killing me, man. But yeah, I'm on all those things. This video will be mirrored almost immediately to Odyssey, shortly thereafter to BitChute, and Rumble sometimes takes like 2 days for it to finally get copied over there auto magically. But regardless, will Dane watch this? I don't know. I don't really care. Honestly, it's not going to change him. It's not going to change me. We will always disagree. And that's why you are tuned in to Jim Lee. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been another fun Sunday Fun Day where we covered everything from past podcast to pissed clouds. Urea. The word for today is urea. They're pissing on you. You saw it here. You cannot unsee. That which is seen cannot be unseen. And this was hella fun. I look forward to another Sunday Fun Day chat with you on yonder week. Please use the information that I provided today to attack ideas, not people. And by that, I mean, I can call Dane a dumbass. That's not me attacking him, despite what you may think. I can say I disagree with him. I think that, he's, a fear porn peddler. I can say all those things. That's not me attacking Dane Wigington. That means I don't dislike him. I have the freedom of speech to explain that. And I am showing you the ideas and the language that he uses that I disagree with. However, I would never advocate the use of violence against anybody, no matter how vehemently I disagree with them, no matter if they are the ones running the secret government programs to do X, Y, and Z. Violence is a weapon of last resort and only to be used to prevent the loss of your or another, let's say your family member's life. Violence is the last resort. So when I say it, I mean it. Attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it. You guys have a great Sunday, and I'll probably see you on a video this week. And check out the podcast. Let them know that I sent you. Have a wonderful day. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from you all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.